Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Let's have a look around what's happening in the amateur's mind. I have picked a couple of games all from my students and we are going to discuss a couple of themes that I find regularly occurring in many club level players games. So let's have a look at this opening. Black plays the knight f6 version of the Alpine Sicilian and faces a new move c4. Not really a good move at all, because basically what's happening from here on is that white is struggling to recover the pawn on d4, because whenever he tries to take, the e5 pawn is badly hurt, so there is a bit of a drama happening there with those central pawns, and he follows up rather timidly with bishop e2, allowing black to achieve this beautiful setup with bishop on g7, which covers both of these pawns rather nicely. Bishop f4 is played, and we arrive right at the most important moment in the opening first up. Excuse me, because now it's clear that without moving one of these dudes, it's going to be incredibly difficult to develop the bishop, and without the bishop, even if white can't recover the d4, but can keep the e5 pawn, then moves like knight d2, knight e4, queen d2 can build up this white position really splendidly, whilst black's plan is somewhat unclear. Now, because of you have seen so many of my videos, hopefully you would know that I am what I would describe as a center maniac. Anytime you are in trouble, I suggest you look for solutions in the center. Chess, when it's good chess, is played in the center, or is oriented so that things happen around the center. So now we are in a situation sort of when in doubt, lose something in the center. Both d6 and d5 turn out to be extremely powerful moves. I really like d6 because this is very much straight to the point, so it's better to demonstrate with this the idea behind this whole mess. The concept, of course, is that we're targeting e5, d6 gets taken, and now comes the point we push past by playing e5. It's not checkers, we don't have to take back, which would be ugly as sin. e5, bishop goes somewhere, queen takes d6. Happy days, the game is in the pocket. Thank you very much. And really d5 serves the same purpose. If they unpass on e5, if they take it, then the knight comes back, and we can now develop the bishop. Happy days again. Black failed to spot it, sadly, throughout the game. Played castles a4. Now again, a very typical thing that when we are getting hacked on the wing, more often than not, the right piece of chess wisdom that we have known for hundreds of years is to counter-strike in the center, which is even more logical now, considering the fact that now the knight is directly attacking the pawn on c4, so a5 has stopped becoming a threat. It's no longer a threat, they need to return to the center situation, and whichever way they take, this is no longer a worry, whether they take on d6 or whether they take on d5. a5 turned out to be, a4, a complete lemon, a really silly, ugly looking move, which is what it is. But black didn't see it that way, sadly he had to stop it, or so he thought, so he played a5, still acceptable, rook e1, last chance to play d5. Sadly it wasn't seen, so played f6. Now things are getting a little bit messy. White here is missing a lot of opportunities to play c5 and grab the diagonal with the heavies. It doesn't win immediately, but it makes a lot of sense to play like that. Again, c5, knight d5, bishop c4, or even c5, knight d5, knight d2 with knight e4 incoming would have been very powerful. Instead, white plays knight a3. No idea what's going on. d5. Finally, black does what he needed to do. Latches onto the center. Now, e takes d5 is a total no-brainer here. White has got a somewhat better development, and he needs to open up files and diagonals to make use of that somewhat better development. Closing the position off allows black to re-coordinate his pieces, and also now this is really seriously hurting. Rook c1 was played, and this is where the things took a very unpleasant turn, because black simply could have played here bishop e7. And bishop e7 would have been a total, very simply a totally winning move, because after bishop e7 there is no way to recover the pawn on c5, as in to guard it, sorry. So knight takes c5 is coming, followed by e5, and black dominates the center. Instead, knight e5 was played, which is a very clumsy trade really, because you never want pieces on e5, you want your pawn on e5. You can't do that right now because d5 is hanging, but after bishop e7 followed by the inevitable knight c5, it would have been very clear that black's basically having this game in the pocket. So knight e5, a very grave error there, takes, and now his last chance to say in this game was to play bishop e5 to deny the knight's entry to d6. Instead, knight b4 was played, and after knight d6, this position really badly fell apart, and then he blundered the queen and went on to lose. Now, obviously, part of the reason why these things turned out to be so bad for black was, in the end that is because he failed to find the correct path in the opening, and it took up so much energy and mental and emotional investment, basically, that he just couldn't find the way out of this maze, out of this jungle. And once again, I would like to show you, it's always, almost always, something in the center. d6 or d5 doesn't matter. It's a beautiful motif to hang on to these pawns, create a beautiful pawn chain, and simply pinch the pawn. Happy days. So that's game number one. Number two is going to be a little bit more painful in some ways, because we are going to see here a very crystal clear opening strategy success. White is dominating this game, totally brutally dominating. Black plays very silly and ugly moves. Queen e7 blocking the bishop in, pawn c6 blocking the knight in, wasting two tempos on putting the knight on a square where it stands particularly badly, although at least it's covering the pawn. But overall, black's opening strategy has been a total failure. a5, again, total no clue what he's doing. Like, it's shocking. It's absolutely shocking. Black basically follows zero opening chess principles that we know of, and that is center in developing pieces and king safety. In fact, what he's doing is denying all these three and trying to undermine his own situation. Now, I'm not very keen on knight e2, but the computer actually quite likes it, and yeah, it is an okay move to recover the pawn. To my mind, e5 seems far more logical, with the intention of coming in and to gain more space in the center, potentially even some days threatened with d5, although queen c5 check makes it a little bit unattractive right now. Now after b5, bishop d3 and bishop a6, we are back on track. Knight f4, bishop f4. Please memorize or have a look at this position and take a mental snapshot, because this is how you want to stand as white in every single opening if you possibly could. And what black is doing to himself is what should be avoided at all cost. No center, no development, no king safety. And from here on, white managed to lose this game in 9 more moves. That's a shocker. So let's actually see what's happening here and how can things turn such an ugly way that we lose this game so quickly. c5, really not a particularly logical move, in the sense that now it looks like he's opening up the position when he's way behind in development, but at the same time he needed to clear the path for the knight, so I will go with it. Now I would just simply play c3 and maintain my center and complete development, queen out, rook out, and finish off. Queen d2 was played. I wouldn't mind this move if it was played with the intention of completing development. What I find truly shocking, astonishingly shocking about this move is that it in fact was played with the intention of taking that pawn. And that again, to me, is just simply mind-blowingly wrong. And I don't care if it's actually justified by whatever assessments and it's not a bad move on the grand scheme of things. As a concept, it's a total disaster. Because after all, our target in the game, and people tend to forget about it big time, is the king. The objective of the game is to catch your enemy's king and checkmate it. And moves like this are absolutely going against that. It's not that they're not working towards the goal, they're working against it, because you are, instead of going for the king, actually create a setup among your own pieces where they don't cooperate particularly well anymore, and they can't achieve whatever objective they have. So after c takes d4, taking on a5 was a tremendous shocker, even though, as I said, it's not really a bad move, but to waste 2 moves on pinching a pawn on the side of the board when your enemy king is a sitting duck in the middle of the board. Yeah, it's really something that I'm struggling with accepting. Knight takes d4 comes to mind with the immediate deadly threat of knight f5, and if queen c5, of course I just drop back here. Now I have got 17 different knight jumps that would threaten with immediate win, as well as queen f2 setting up the deadly mate threat. So we took the pawn on a5, the opponent responds queen c5, which is actually a losing blunder on the spot. But somehow chess has this element of justice in it, and please don't hate me for saying this, but when we play badly, even if we still are winning, we somehow don't tend to finish off those games so that we would win. And it's because when we are on the wrong mindset and on the wrong path, then somehow it's very difficult to then switch back onto the correct chess thinking, which would have been, by the way, he's simply taking this knight and pinching a piece. But what was realizing that he sort of went his plans have been derailed, and so he came back to d2, which I don't blame as a plan, because this is where the queen should have stayed all the time. But now things are getting a little bit more complicated. Queen f2 was played, really good play. I love the fact that he wants to come to g3 and do stuff on the king side. Obviously all of our pieces are directed towards the king side, so top stuff. However, here again, a typical blunder of club level chess. Queen sideways is a very dirty motive. It's no excuse for blundering this, but White actually played the bishop g5 and went on to lose the game. After queen g3, followed by the bishop h6 or e5, White would have had a beautiful attack here. But again, I would like to show you that here, this is how easily it can go wrong. You just choose a wrong plan, you then realize that, that was a stuff up, let's go back and undo this and play proper chess. Just one slip, just one careless move and it's gone. Instead here, if we hadn't taken this pawn, but just simply taken on d4, I can't possibly imagine how this wouldn't have gone White's way. Sadly, things took an even worse turn in the next one, where we have a Mora gambit. White is playing the opening reasonably okay, although here e5 is known to theory as a very dangerous pawn sacrifice, because if takes, then queen d5 is hurting black like crazy. Or maybe it's bishop takes first. I'm not even sure. It's not meant to be captured, believe me on that one. But with e6, it is just a total disaster, because now the d6 square has been fatally weakened, and White is onto it right away. Brilliant stuff. Knight b5. The bishop had to drop back, and here knight d6 check is actually very premature. That's another hobby horse of mine. Don't release tension, increase tension, because now we have a double threat of coming in, and after d6 we can cherry pick whether bishop takes or knight takes, and then after bishop takes. Now material is even and White is dominating the whole entire board. The game is over. Check happened, fine, still totally winning, all good. Very cleverly avoiding the swap, very good stuff. A lot of players tend to not do this. When you are material down but you have tremendous attack and initiative, no queen trade. a6, very poor move again, although it's very difficult to suggest anything productive for black, because the only developing knight f6 seems to be losing immediately to this pin, or very close to an immediate loss. So I'm not going to blame or fault black's moves from here on. White is basically playing the game quite well, and this is the point where I always find it painful to watch when I see a move like bishop b7 and then White comes up with this. Like, we are dominating the board. Black's army is full of weak squares. We have a killer bishop. We have the bishop pair, a better development, a king stuck in the middle, and the best move that we can come up with is this. So this never ceases to upset me because I keep on repeating myself so many times that any time that you want to put the doggy ears out, just tell yourself, surely there is something better I can do. And literally anything white can do here is better than a3, which was solely played, I suppose, against knight a5. Which is not even a threat, by the way, like by any stretch of the imagination. Like I can simply just play. My favorite move in this position is rook a c1, which is an immediate killer because after knight a5, bishop c5, queen d6, queen d8, queen d6, this is just game. Like really, really over. Mate in one threat on move 17. On the back rank of black, it is a disaster. And again, look at it. What's the most natural move with all pieces out? Bring the rooks to the fray. Well, which one seems to be doing a threat? Rook d1 or rook c1? Well, rook c1 creates bishop c5 as a threat. So you go there. And you have played a useful move. a3, total waste of time. King f8, very sad to watch, but again, black's agon is really just a terrible side that I can't really suggest how to improve on. We find the correct plan, so we go in for the kill. Rook d1 I quite like, knight b8, oh my god. So black is going back, but then again, rook d8 would have been met by bishop b6, so what can you do? Alright, so we get to this beautiful stage where we build up the eventual knockout blow, and I love knight h4 here. Awesome stuff. It's a little bit tricky to find here the finish off. Queen c3 followed by knight e5 looks to me like another way to wrap up. I think this is fully legit. But knight h4 I really, really do like, because what it does is it creates this threat of queen here and knight mate. And that's really awesome. And it also has an additional threat of f4. Knight e7 was played, queen e3, suppose preparing for f4. I'm happy with that. Back knight e7, f4. Brilliantly played. We are here playing really, really good chess. Consistently following the objective, which is to demolish the enemy's king's defense. Takes, queen takes back, a5, bishop c3. Beautiful stuff again, building up. Rook f8, rook d6, attacking f6 again, beautiful chess, knight g8, and you go like, right, time for the killing blow. Now, just in the previous game, I showed you how bishop takes b8 was a winning move. And indeed, it totally was winning because we won a piece with it. Now here, bishop takes g8 would guarantee us to win this. But this strikes me as the ugliest possible move we can play in the position. Black is basically on the 9th rank with all of his pieces, going strongly back towards the 10th in order to basically defend whatever he can. There is no way I'm going to give him a chance to eliminate a beautiful attacker for the ugliest defender in the face of Earth. Also, this is again my ultimate no-go, which is releasing tension instead of increasing it. f5 has been the focal point, f6 that is, sorry, of the attack for the last couple of moves for white, so that's where the focus should be. Rook f1 looks logical, but my top favorite move, which to my mind is a total no-brainer, is e5. Why wouldn't you? You wanted to take f6, you want to open up the bishop diagonal, what can they do? This is like almost mate. And they are going to lose everything here. After e5, it's a knockout blow. And the typical case, like after bishop g8, your opponent doesn't have to think, because they only have one legal move, and that's king takes. I never ever like to give my opponents moves where it's a no-brainer what they have to do, but to such extent that anyone would find that. After e5, they would go like, oh my god, what will I do? Take, push, let them take. It causes confusion. When you mess with your opponent's head, that's half win. This doesn't mess with your opponent's head. It says to them, take me with the king. And they did. Now, white is still totally winning. I would like to emphasize that. But this is how you tend to slip. And white actually did slip here. Rook takes f6, perfect move. Knight a6. Now, black is slowly catching up in development. And so, this is the time to look again deeply and deliver the finish off blow. Now, my usual go-to checks, captures, and threats is not really, it is useful, but not as 100% useful as normally they are, because here none of the captures or checks work, but then again the attack is going to do the trick. The tricky bit is, and the main reason why people fail to find these types of moves below 2000 is because there is this ridiculous religious connection not wanting to let go to material. And this is another thing that really makes me wonder about chess education in general, because in my opinion, when you start off learning chess, the first thing you really need to do is to, among many other things, is to go through a fair few games played by Paul Morphy, because what you learn from there is that initiative, attack is everything in chess, and king safety and center. And material is never ever in this equation. It's about attacking, it's about initiative, it's about development, and it's about central control. Material, nowhere mentioned, anywhere at all. And if you grow up on these four things, you will not develop this remarkably harmful habit of not even considering putting stuff on prey. Because this is actually a mental block. Like, it's not that you are incapable of calculating it, it's that you are not even looking at it because, oh, it's hanging. Oh yes, except it's a mate in two. Right, pretty neat. And what happens if they take the rook? Check takes, we'll go with check, 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 and queen g5 mate next. Right. So what about if I don't do anything but take here? Well, that seems to be check, checkmate. Or mate next, wherever the queen goes. So knight f5 is a win. There we go. And also it is quite logical, because it seems apparent that at the moment these three attackers are incapable of finishing the job. So we need a new attacker to create that superiority between the attacking and the defending forces. Knight f5, game over. Instead, rook f8 was played, and all of a sudden we find ourselves in this endgame, which we ended up losing partly as a result of being short on time. So this is, guys, why I consider it so important to once again go with the golden rules of initiative, attack, center, development, king safety if you like, that will fit into this picture too. And then once again, you will not see a Morphy game where having this much development advantage he would do this. You will find it in zero of his games. But I could mention Alakine here, I could mention other renowned attacking players whose crystal clear attacking style basically is an ultimate guide for us to follow, because that's how good chess, in my opinion, is learned at the very early stages. So I hope you guys took something away from this video. It was a bit of a mix of everything, but I hope that I put some value in there, and I will be back with more soon. Now, before I go, however, I would like to make a few announcements. One, please check out my stream, because I got back to regular streaming. Number two, I'm going to have a dual commentary against famous and truly awesome chess YouTuber John Bartholomew, who is also a very famous streamer. So we will have a match on the 26th of May, which is a Saturday. Sydney time, 10 o'clock, I'm going to stream it on my stream. He will stream it on his. So make sure that you do tune in, because it is promising to be a tremendously good fun match against a very good player and a very awesome guy, and a really great chess streamer. So that's going to be the next highlight on the streaming business, and hopefully in the meantime I will be able to upload some extra videos as well. Thank you very much for tuning in, guys. I'll catch you later. Bye.